Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. So we are reading from Canto 2. Chapter 5, The Cause of All Causes, text number 23. Mahatastu vikurvana rajasatvo pabhrimihtat tama pradhanastva abhavad dravyajnana kriyatmaka. Mahatastu vikurvana rajasatvo pabhrimritam tama pradhanasva abhavat dravyajnana kriyamakaha. Mahatastu vikurvana rajasatvopa bhrimhitat tama pradhanasva abhavat dravyajnana kriyatmakaha. Synonyms, translation, and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Synonyms. Mahata, of the Mahat Tattva. Tu, but. Vikurvanat, being transformed. Rajaha, the material mode of passion. Sattva, the mode of goodness. Upabhrim hitat, because of being increased. Tamaha, the mode of darkness. Pradhana, being prominent. Tu, but. Abhavat, took place. Dravya, matter. Jnana, material knowledge. Kriya Atmakaha, predominantly material activities. Translation. Material activities are caused by the Mahatattvas being agitated. At first, there is transformation of the mode of goodness and passion, and later, due to the mode of ignorance, matter, its knowledge, and different activities of material knowledge comes into play. Would anyone like to read the purport?
I can read. Material creations of every description are more or less due to the development of the mode of passion, rajas. The Mahat Tattva is the principle of material creation, and when it is agitated by the will of the Supreme, at first the modes of passion and goodness are prominent, and afterwards the mode of passion, being generated in due course by material activities of different varieties, become prominent, and the living entities are thus involved more and more in ignorance. Brahma is the representation of the mode of passion, and Vishnu is the representation of the mode of goodness, while the mode of ignorance is represented by Lord Shiva, the father of material activities. Material nature is called the mother, and the initiator for materialistic life is the father, Lord Shiva. All material creation by the living entities is therefore initiated by the mode of passion. With the advancement of the duration of life in a particular millennium, the different modes act by gradual development. In the as such age of Kali, when the mode of passion is most prominent, material activities of different varieties in the name of advancement of human civilization take place, and the living entities become more and more involved in forgetting their real identity, the spiritual nature. By a slight cultivation of the mode of goodness, a glimpse of spiritual nature is perceived, but due to the prominence of the mode of passion, the mode of goodness becomes adulterated. Therefore, one cannot transcend the limits of the material modes, and therefore, realization of the Lord, who is always transcendental to the mode of material nature, becomes very difficult for living entities, even though prominently situated in the mode of goodness through cultivation of the various methods. In other words, the gross matters are Adi Bhutam. Their maintenance is Adi Daivam, and the initiator of material activities is called Adhyatmam. In the material world, these three principles act as prominent features, namely as raw material, its regular supplies, and its use in different varieties of material creations for sense enjoyment by the bewildered entities. Thank you.
ओम ज्ञानातिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत्। अष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातम् अहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। So, technical purport, try to simplify. But before we do that, the purpose of studying the scripture every day, that we come at about 6:30 to read the scriptures, to study the scripture, Bhagavatam, is, of course, the Paribhasha Sutra of Bhagavatam is that Etecham Shakala Pumsham, Krishnastu Bhagavan, and to establish the supremacy of Krishna, that Krishna is the Lord. But through this purport, Prabhupada is trying to establish, is also trying to establish the supremacy of Krishna. There's this verse from Prema Vivarta that Prabhupada often used to quote, Krishna bhulya jiva hana bhoga vanchakare nikatastha maya nikatiya maya stare jhapatiya dhare. That so from this verse, it says that that every single living entity, that who has forgotten Krishna is actually engaged in bhoga vancha, is engaged in sense gratification. So, the commonality amongst all the living entities, all the people here in this class, is that yes, we are all, though we come from different backgrounds, we look different, the way we work is different, yet we all are spirit souls. And another commonality, another common thing between all of us is that we are diseased. We have this disease, and the disease condition is that we have forgotten Krishna. That's the disease, that we have forgotten Krishna. Krishna bhulya jiva. We have got this long-term memory loss, and when they say that it's long-term memory loss, it means millions and trillions of lifetimes. Prabhupada has quoted this time immemorial. That means you cannot count. It is that that number is so huge, and what is the proof that we have been in this life, in this material world for so many lifetimes? The scriptures gives us proof that Brahmanda Brahmite, it's been so long. Bahunam Janmanamante, that means so many lifetimes we have been wandering in this material world. So, in this Krishna bhulya jiva, that means what is the symptom of this? The disease is that we have forgotten Krishna. And what is the symptom of the disease? Like if we have some infection in our body, the body, the symptom is that we get fever. Or so like that, because we have forgotten Krishna, the symptom is that we are, person who has forgotten Krishna, the symptom is that we are desiring separate from Krishna. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manha Shashtani Indriyani, Prakriti Sthani Karshati, that these living entities are my part and parcel. They are my part and parcel. Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke. But they are Prakriti Sthani Karshati. They are struggling in this material world. because of the mind and the senses, they are struggling. And we are trying to enjoy separate from the Lord. And like when we say that we are trying to enjoy separate from the Lord, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that I remember all your lifetimes to Arjun, but you don't remember any life. You only remember this lifetime. But we have same for us also. We have been struggling to enjoy in these millions of lives. And like I said, that scriptures explain it is actually time immemorial. We cannot. There is no when we cannot trace for how long we have been here in this material world. And like Krishna is saying that, Arjuna, you have forgotten, but I remember all the lifetimes. And luckily for us that we don't remember, because if we remember, imagine the trauma we would have. Imagine, remembering every death that we have gone through, remembering every type of death that we have met in all those lives. It would be so traumatic. So through this purport, Prabhupada is trying to establish that this one is Krishna is a supreme person. And second, that we all are diseased because we are trying to, our desires are different. Our desires are not aligned. And this is a common theme in Bhagavatam. You open any purport of Srila Prabhupada. This is what Prabhupada is trying to say. The essence is this, that this material world is not a place to be, and we have to align our desires, and this Krishna conscious movement is actually helping us to align our desires with Krishna. So there's this discussion happening between Narad Muni and Lord Brahma, the guru and the disciple. And when Parikshit Maharaj asked this question to Shukadeva Goswami, that how is this material world manifested? Then Sukadeva Goswami, so how we know that how Bhagavatam is a conversation in a conversation. So then Sukadeva Goswami is quoting this conversation between Lord Brahma and Narad Muni. And it's a beautiful series of beautiful verses, beginning from verse 2 of this chapter, where Narad Muni is asking, my dear father, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifest world. What is its background? How is it created? How is it conserved? And under whose control is all this being done? And then, there's a series of verses. He's saying that, whatever you have created in the past, you are the knower of what will be created in the future. So like that, Narad Muni is asking these questions, and like how everything within this universe is within your grip, like how just like a walnut, walnut is so small. So how this universe is so big, but because you are the knower of past, present, and future, therefore this whole thing is under your grip like a walnut. And then he's asking, what is the source of your knowledge? Like that, he's asking these questions, and that actually gives pleasure to Lord Brahma. And then from text 9, Brahma starts replying, and then and he says that whatever you have spoken about me is not false, because unless and until one is aware of the personality of Godhead, who is the ultimate truth beyond me, one is sure to be illusioned by observing my powerful activities. And then Lord Brahma says that I create after Lord's creation by his personal effulgence. So like how, the sun, how the other planets, the moon and the stars are getting their light from sun. Similarly, I am also getting my power, my light from Krishna, from the Supreme Controller. Then, like we see that when Lord Brahma is being honest here, that he is saying that whatever that is that you see is actually spark of Krishna's splendor. It is just, I did not create anything. I'm just I'm working under the guidance of Krishna. So actually something to learn for all of us here, that how Lord Brahma, we belong to Brahma Madhav Gaudiya Sampradaya. We belong to this Sampradaya, and Lord Brahma is our original Guru, who is being cultivated, who's been given this knowledge by Lord Shri Krishna. And Lord Brahma is being very honest here, that, yes, you are right. Whatever you see, you think that it is I who has created, but actually the creator, primary creator is Lord Shri Krishna. And, in this, sometimes we have this human tendency that even though when we have not done something, and if someone tries to compliment us, we just try to take this as, we just think that, oh yes, actually they are right. Maybe on the face, we may not say that we have done this, but we will be happy to take the credit. And that's how things work, right? If nobody is watching, let me take the credit. But that's the human tendency. But Lord Brahma is telling us that that's not how the spiritual world. That's not how the dealings in the spiritual world work. In material world, yes, you can cheat. You can be because you are under illusion. You have imperfect senses. You can, but in spiritual world, no. And we see that in case of Brihad Bhagavatam, Sanatana Goswami is describing that how Narad Muni is searching for a pure devotee, a devotee who has got the most mercy. And then Narad Muni is at Prayagraj, is at Allahabad, and he sees this a very wealthy Brahman at the ghat, and the way he's serving the Vaishnavas, the way he's doing the puja, he's so impressed. And then he goes to that Brahman and he says, I'm looking for a person who has got the most mercy of Krishna, and I have found you. And I truly believe that you have got the mercy. And then Brahmana said, oh, no, what are you saying? I am not the person who got the most mercy. It's actually, there's this king in South India. Actually, if you go there, he's actually constantly engaged in Krishna's service. He's engaged all his wealth. I am such a small Brahman. He has engaged all his wealth in the service of Krishna. And the way he is serving his kingdom, he has, the way he's encouraging everyone to be a devotee like that. And then Narad Muni goes to South India, and then goes to this king and says the same thing to the king. And the king says, actually, it's not me. You should go to Lord Indra. So like that, we see how in spiritual world, nobody is willing to take the credit. Nobody is willing to take this. And one thing that Sanatana Goswami mentions in this book is that they are not only glorifying. The answer is simple, right? Who has got the most mercy? Srimati Radharani. If we actually say, they should have, the Brahmana at the ghat, at the Prayagraj, could have easily said, it's actually Radharani, Srimati Radharani has got the most mercy. But he did not say that. Sanatana Goswami mentions an important point, that when it comes to giving credit, we can easily give credit to our gurus, Srila Prabhupada, even our seniors. But when it comes to giving credit to our peers or people who are new, we will not be able to do that easily. It doesn't come naturally to us. Why? Because it's easy to glorify them. Brajabihari Prabhu says that when we have these glorifying sessions, I tell devotees not to glorify your guru or your or Srila Prabhupada, because we know their glories and it's easy to glorify them. Let's glorify our peers, because that is most difficult. So this is how the spiritual world works. And we see how, we not go into the story, of course, but this is the learning that we get, that this is how the dealings are there in the spiritual world. So coming back to the verse, that how Lord Brahma is saying that all this creation is because of my Almighty Lord Shri Krishna. So just imagine, we did this, renovated this project at Harekrishnatemple Burbank, and That renovation, of course, it's not an easy task. I'm sure Viraj Krishna Prabhu also went through a lot of anxieties, dealing with tradesmen, scheduling which tasks to be done, when, getting the raw materials, getting the quotes, finalizing orders. So, a project of this size, it takes up so much time, so much resources when we are only renovating. It's not built, we are not building from the scratch. So just imagine how much effort will go in creating such a massive universe, in maintaining and then annihilating such a big universe. And Krishna is maintaining all these millions of universes. Prabhupada often used to quote this verse in his classes, Parasha Shaktir Vivideya Shruyate Swabhav Ki Jnana Bala Kriyacha, that Krishna is managing these universes, is creating these universes through his multipotencies. The Supreme Lord has multipotencies which act so perfectly that all the consciousness, strength, activity are being directed solely by his will. This verse is from Shvetashvara Upanishad. And in this purport, Prabhupada is giving a very scientific description how these modes are acting in this world, how they are originating from Mahatattva. And to understand this, we have to understand the essence of it. As per Bhagavad Gita says that all purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So the principle given here is very simple, that the Lord is giving us something perfect and we are making it imperfect. The Lord is Shuddha Sattva, pure mode of goodness. And whatever is coming from him is also goodness. But because by our influence, we make it degraded. And we see, how Lord gives us pure water, pure air, pure land, but we try to put chemicals in the water. We try to put fertilizers in the land. We try to put smoke in the air, and then we try to just destroy everything. And we see that, when a baby is born, how the baby, their skin is so soft, they're so clean. But as they grow, as they are exposed to this air of the material world, they are not as soft, not as clean. Their skin is not as soft as it was when they were born. And this is what Prabhupada is saying, that how scientists are promising, how we are, with the advanced civilization, we are trying to improve the conditions. But what happens is, ultimately, we end up with total environmental crisis. And then Prabhupada begins to explain in this verse that how Lord Shiva is the father of all the material activities, and material nature is called the mother. So Brahma Samhita explains that how Lord Shiva is appearing and how he is entering in this material world, how he comes as the father of all living entities. So Mahatattva is inert. It means it's inactive, but by activation of, but it gets activated by the glance of the Lord. And everything about the Lord is personal, including his glance. And this glance is actually taking the form of Lord Shiva. And it's entering into the material world. And with the glance, that glance is also carrying all the living entities. So all the living entities are entering in the material world. So Lord Shiva is actually eternally connected to Mahavishnu. It is said here that Lord Shiva is in charge of all the living entities in the mode of ignorance. And he's extremely tolerant, even though Lord Shiva is surrounded by ghosts, by spirits, by living entities who don't want to adopt this process of Krishna consciousness, but he still wants to give them his association and try to lift them up. But eventually he also loses his tolerance and becomes angry, and that's how annihilation happens. So we'll try to explain something like how Prabhupada is explaining, I'll try to explain something technical here. So Krishna is the Supreme Person. And the first expansion of Krishna is Balaram. And then Balaram expands into his first Chaturvyuha expansion, the quadruple expansion, which includes Vasudev, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So this Krishna, then Balaram, then the first quadruple expansion, then from the first quadruple expansion comes the second Chaturvyuha or the quadruple expansion, and then Vasudeva, Shankarshan, that also has Vasudeva, Shankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. And then the second Chaturvyuha expansion, the Shankarshan here is also called Mahashankarshan. And from Mahashankarshan comes Mahavishnu. And then, so this Mahavishnu is lying on the causal ocean. And then he manifests through Lord Shiva, he manifests this Mahatattva. He activates this Mahatattva. So Mahatattva is how it says, it's basically modes of material nature. And then Mahavishnu, when he's lying on the causal ocean, he's exhaling all these universes. He's exhaling all these universes through the pores of his skin. And when and that's how the material nature is activated. Then when these universes, when Mahavishnu expands as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, then these universe gets activated. So all these universes that were coming from the pores of Mahavishnu, they become activated by the presence of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And then in all these universes, there are innumerable living entities. And then all these living entities also become active when Garbhodakashayi Vishnu expands as Shirodakashayi Vishnu, as Paramatma. So I know it's very technical, but what we are trying to understand here is that, as the chapter says, the cause of all causes. We can hear technical descriptions about the Lord, but yet He's the same Lord who is also in our heart, and who's so eager to have that relationship with us, who's so eager to have us back home, back to Godhead. I found this reference from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Prabhupada is describing that when we are hearing these descriptions about Mahatattva, about this material energy, we have to understand that everything is resting under the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Prabhupada says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 2:21-51, he quotes this verse from Srīmad Bhāgavatam 10:14-58. Shamma Shitamya Padapallava Plavam Mahat Pada Punya Yasho Murari. That this entire Mahatattva is existing under the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. And then Prabhupada says in this purport that since everything is under Sri Krishna's protection, Sri Krishna is called Ashraya Tattva. That means one who is worth taking shelter of. One who is only one who is worth taking shelter of. So in this world, there are two tattvas, Ashraya Tattva and Ashrita Tattva. Ashrita Tattva we belong to Ashrita Tattva. That means this material creation also belongs to Ashrita Tattva. This liberation, Prabhupada says, liberation from material bondage, attainment of the spiritual platform, they are all Ashrita Tattvas. And Krishna is the only Ashraya Tattva. So to understand Krishna, we have to understand how this material energy, of course, we have to also understand how this material energy is working, right? In Bhāgavatam, Krishna says that Lord Gajendra, when he's in so much calamity, he has been fighting with the crocodile for 1,000 years. And he says that, oh Krishna, Lord, he doesn't know who is the Lord, and he's just saying that whoever is the Lord, please come and save me. Gajendra says in his prayers, Ekantino yasyana kanchanartham vanchanti yeva bhagavata prapanna Adi adbhutam tacharitam sumangalam gayanta ananda samudra magna. So Gajendra is saying that the devotees, they do not desire anything material. So when we are saying that Krishna is Ashraya Tattva, that means he's the only one who is worth taking shelter of. And Gajendra is saying that these devotees, they do not desire anything material. And the question may be asked, but why? Why don't they desire anything material? Because the next part says, Bhagavat Prapanna, that means they are always surrendered to the Lord. And someone may ask, well, what happens when we are surrendered to the Lord? Then the next line in the verse says, Adi Adbhutam Tat Charitam Sumangalam, that by surrendering to the Lord, we are getting these qualities of Krishna. We are getting this Adbhut Charitam, and which is Sumangal, which is auspicious, which is the most auspicious thing. And what happens when one gets these qualities? Then they are always Gayanta Ananda. That means they're always trying to glorify. They're always trying to sing the glories of Krishna. His name, his form, his qualities, his pastimes. In another verse, in 4th canto, Prachetas are praying, and they're saying that how Parijate Anjasa Labdhi Sharango Anyanna Sevate Tvad Angri Moolam Ashadya Shakshat Kim Vrinimahi. So they are saying that once the honeybee who has approached the celestial tree called Parijata, then it does not leave. It does not need anything, because then how, honeybees are wandering they're moving from one flower to another. But once they have reached that tree, once they have approached the celestial tree called Parijata, then what happens? There is no need of such action. Then there is no need of wandering. Similarly, when one has approached the lotus feet, when one has approached and has taken the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, then what other benediction can satisfy them? Because Krishna's lotus feet is like that. So you can see any object in this material world, it can award us some quantum of happiness. Like someone may say that television is giving me some quantum of happiness, some amount of happiness. Children may say video games give me some amount of happiness. Someone may say nice food gives me happiness. But happiness in this world has a beginning and an end. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yehi samsparsha ja bhoga dukkha yoni evacha adi antavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. That this adi antavanta, that this unintelligent person, ramate buddha, an intelligent person, is not taking part in this source of misery, in this material pleasures, which are coming in the contact, which are coming due to contact of material senses. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna that such pleasures have a beginning and an end, adi anta. They also have a beginning, they also have an end, and a wise man does not delight in them. In this purport to this verse is from Bhagavad Gita 5.46. Prabhupada beautifully writes that how devotees, they are not interested in anything temporary. Now, yesterday, Bhaktivinoda Maharaj was mentioning that how devotees are clever. They don't keep grudges against anyone. They are clever because they know what's worth taking or what's worth my time. They are very intelligent like that. So the devotee Prabhupada writes that they are not interested in anything temporary because they know that they know the joys of the transcendental pleasure. So then how can they agree to enjoy something which is false or which has a beginning and an end? In Padma Purana, it is said that Ramante yogino anante satyanande chidatmani iti rama padenashu param brahma vidhiyate. That the mystics, they derive unlimited transcendental pleasure from the absolute truth. And therefore the absolute, supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, is also known as Rama. in Srimad Bhagavatam, Rishabdev is instructing his sons in 5th Canto, 5th chapter, verse number 1. He says that, my dear sons, there's no need for you to labor so hard for sense pleasure when you are in this human form of life, because that pleasure is also available to the stool eaters, hogs. Rather, you should undergo penances in this life so that your existence can be purified. And when your existence is purified, then we can enjoy unlimited transcendental bliss. Like how Prabhupada at the end concludes with this in this verse, in this purport, that those who are true yogis, those who are bhakti yogis, they are not attracted by sense pleasures, because they know that they have a beginning and an end. And the more we are attracted to these pleasures, the more we are entrapped, by material miseries. And we see this illusion is so strong, Otherwise, why would Prabhupada, has spent so much labor, so much time, so much of his effort in writing these beautiful purports? This illusory energy is so strong. He is made of intelligence. But when it comes to Brahma Vimohan Leela, when he sees that Krishna is actually, he's having this pastime with his cowherd friends, and he is actually eating their leftover food. He's snatching their food from their mouth and eating that. How can he be Lord? So just imagine a person whose body is made of full intelligence is bewildered by the illusory energy. And that's how illusion is so strong. And therefore, this study of Bhagavatam, this is actually, no matter how much we do, it's just the illusion is so strong. It sometimes feel that, oh, is it even working? But that's why we come here every day, every morning to study this literature, so that we can actually take shelter of one who's worth taking shelter of. Because Krishna is Ashraya Tattva. He's the only one who is worth taking shelter of. Yes, we have our material desires. Yes, we have to maintain our material life. But let's try to see our material life also as part of our spiritual life. We cannot separate both of them. We have to try connect our activities with Krishna. We have to try. And how Braj Bihari Prabhu says, even though when we are doing this sense gratification, or sometimes when we are watching, we shouldn't watch Australian Open, but we are saying that, oh, let me just watch this one time, and then, or we are doing some activity that is separate, that's not directly related to Krishna, then we just pray to Krishna. Krishna, I don't want to do this, but I want to do this. Please help me. I'm taking your permission. So like that, eventually, when we are reminding, or when we are remembering Krishna at the time of enjoying something separate from Krishna, then eventually our desires will be purified. So I'll stop here. If anyone has any questions, any comments. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, everyone. Have a great Krishna conscious day.
Am I late to say something? Sorry, Hare Krishna.
No problem. Please.
I was just trying to reach my phone. First of all, thank you very much for this wonderful class, because you actually explained something which was very technical in a very simple manner. They say an expert is one who teaches a subject to students who are intelligent, but a master is one who teaches the students who are absolutely new. So, this was like a master giving the class. Thank you, Mataji. when you mention the point of that when we are doing some sense gratification activities and we should pray to Krishna, that I don't want to do this, but I want to do this. In that case, it's very important that we continuously maintain also the association of devotees. Otherwise, as the qualities of Maya is given in 13th chapter, it's going to cover us and kick us again. And then we will not realize our position is going down and down and down if we just are on our own. So that's why, even though we, request Krishna, we are sometimes, engaging in these activities. But at the same time, when we maintain the association of devotees, the devotees will make sure that we are on track. It is said that if a devotee doesn't chant one day, the devotee knows he's not chanted. If a devotee doesn't chant for 2 days, the family knows that the devotee is not chanted. If the devotee doesn't chant for 3 days, the whole world knows that the devotees know that is not chanted. So then they will try to make sure that proper care is given to the devotee. So the devotee association is very important, whatever situation we are in. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Bhai. Yes, very important point. Devotees always keep us on track. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the nice class, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. It's beautiful class.
Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful practical class, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Keshavi.